Go on then, go and get it.
Oh, I got it.
We are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Never Mind the Buy Box. Tonight I am joined by Mr. Matt Webley, who literally got on the broadcast like at 10 seconds to 7. So, and then he was like, I haven't got my phone. So I just want to say a quick hello to everyone. Can everyone let me know it's working? Yeah, someone's already jumped in there and done that. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hi, Nat. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm excited tonight to talk about lots of Amazon-related stuff. Let's just see who's jumped in. Yeah, Shawn's letting us know it's working. Evening, Jamie. Evening, Ruth. Without a fail, Jamie and Ruth are always the first ones to watch on YouTube. Give us some likes and loves, please, just so we send out the notification to everyone that wants to watch. Just waiting for it to kick in. Ash is watching tonight. Let's have a look. Lindsay. Yeah, it's all coming through now. Thanks for that. Much appreciated. Hello, Alex. Hi, Fraz. Give us a hello. Give us a wave in the comments box and let us know. Simon says, ciao. Evening all. Hi, David. Oh, lots of people tonight that haven't been around for a while. I think it's because of I think it's because of you, Matt. They're not here to see me.
I don't know about that. Hi, guys. If you are here to see me, it's very flattering. Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. So David says he's just finished a session with a client. Kay, first time watching. Well, welcome, Kay. We do this every Tuesday, 7 o'clock, where we talk about Amazon related news. So generally with a different guest on every week. Matt's the founder of Secret Wealth Project and also co-contributor is Luke Dugan as well. But then we have mixed it up with different guests with different parts of Amazon business. So lots of YouTube viewers tonight as well.
Let me get my stream friendly glasses. These ones are reflecting. Hang on, I'll get my slightly more expensive ones.
Karen says she's here to cause trouble like Matt did to her earlier. So Karen's back with a vengeance, everyone.
I'll tell you what, Karen is like a naughty schoolgirl in team meetings, and then she blames me and says it's all about me. She boots me off Skype meetings. She literally boots me.
Isn't that what that woman did in the council parish meeting? The one that went viral?
Yes, just like that. She does that. Ollie's laughing. Ollie's over there laughing. Yes, it's exactly like that. That is exactly how our team meetings go.
I'm sorry, I don't believe it for a second, Matt. Sorry.
She boots me.
Yeah. Right, Ray's joined us. Good evening. Although Karen says you deserved it. So actually, yeah, maybe we get Matt and Karen on one day. You two can like go at it with each other or something.
I'm only kidding. We don't fight at all. We're quite the opposite. We are like naughty schoolboy and schoolgirl. Like I'll boot her, then she'll boot me. Like earlier on, in Skype there's this little thing, raise a hand when there's a team meeting type thing. And if everyone's talking over each other, sometimes I'll put raise a hand on. But I think this is what happened. She put raise a hand. And somebody went, right, Karen, yeah, you talk. And then I booted her just about as she was waiting patiently to talk. I booted her. Yeah.
Oh dear. None of that shenanigans tonight, please. Thank you very much. Mark said he thought he was late and then he was supposed to be on SWP. Then he saw 8-figure and he was like, phew, Mark is our 8-figure seller. And obviously I use the word 8-figure to describe you, but we just want to make it clear. Matt, you're not an 8-figure Amazon seller, are you? You're an 8-figure entrepreneur, 8-figure internet marketer.
Yeah, and that's not in 1 year, folks.
Yeah. So just want to make that every clear. I don't want anyone saying, "Oh, well, Natalie said Matt Webley is an 8-figure Amazon seller" or anything like that.
No. Yeah, no, none of that. No, you know what? I think I don't know. Yeah, carry on, Nat. Carry on.
Evening, John. Right, now that we've got a few people that have joined us, and what I thought would be the perfect opportunity, I want to talk through a couple of things tonight, some general kind of Amazon news, bit of current market conditions as well, because it gets to this time of year, getting lots of messages from various different people, seeing it in Facebook groups, seeing it in other Facebook groups. I'm sure you guys are seeing it as well on the software side of things, where people get a little bit worried this time of year where things tend to quieten down. But this year's like not any other. You know, this is a unique year because obviously we're still in the middle of a COVID pandemic, and you know, we're just coming out of lockdown, all these different elements as well. And you know, just talking about the general Amazon selling market conditions, and it's just to kind of reassure people that what's happening now, which is really interesting, because I think that it's not necessarily due to lack of demand or anything like that. I think it's what's happening. The world's starting to get back to normal. And over the last 12 to 18 months, or 12 to 14 months, something like that, a lot of people have really been focusing their effort on essential goods selling on Amazon, grocery, health and personal care, those type of products. And probably putting a lot of those eggs in that basket, because that is what the UK and the world has needed over the last 12 months, buying from Amazon. Now, as we come out of this, that's not going to be needed as much. So therefore, you can't, it's a bit like when you come out of Q4. You can't look at Q1 and buy stock in the same way that you buy Q4, that you buy for Q4. And it's exactly the same for this.
Yeah.
So what people need to understand.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say what people need to understand this time of year is this is the quieter time of the year anyway. Then we're coming out of a time when people are not going to need as much of what people have been selling over the last 12 months. So combining the two together, it's going to feel a bit like sales are falling off the cliff a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what's happened as far as I see it. And I think for a lot of sellers, Amazon sellers, they're doing well still. But last year was a unicorn year. Mm-hmm. Last year was a freak show year that is never likely to be repeated. Now, that's not to say that Amazon sales aren't going to increase year on year. They clearly are.
Yeah.
And there's loads more growth on Amazon. So I'm not saying you won't ever get like last year again, but the reasons for why sales went mad last year will never probably be repeated. Maybe. So yeah, if you only started selling last year and then you come to this year, you'd be like, Jesus Christ, what's gone wrong? But if you've been selling either just in business, never mind selling on Amazon, but if you've just been in business for a long time, like I've been in business 20 years, this time of year always sucks. Just last year, it was amazing because of a unicorn event. Mm-hmm. So it's very normal for this time of year to suck. You know what? March, April, not expecting anything major, but a couple of weeks' time, things are going to start heating up, and then it's going to be that gradual lift off to Q4 that we always see. But year on year, demand is higher, and things get more and more crazy, and it's gonna do the same. So right now, if people are worried about a lull right now, well. Kids have been off school for a couple of weeks, or they have around here at least. Kids have been off school. People aren't doing stuff when kids are off school. Shops have opened up, so they're going to go spend their money in shops because they feel like they're alive again. It's a crappy time of year anyway. So you like combine all those three things, and probably more I've not thought of, and like it's very expected. We are expecting lulls in sales right now. It would be another unicorn time if it wasn't lull in sales. So all good. Don't worry too much.
Definitely. Cindy says even quieter when Amazon switch you off. Unfortunately, Cindy is experiencing something that, few sellers do go through and experience at the moment. It's deactivation. But I think it's, I know Karen's handling it, so it's very much, Cindy, you are in 100% the right hands, and fingers crossed you'll get reactivated as soon as possible. But I know the circumstances due to your deactivation, so fingers crossed it should be pretty straightforward.
I was speaking to Karen earlier, and I actually mentioned Cindy, and Karen said she sees no reason why Cindy won't get reinstated. Zero reason. Mm-hmm. So if that's coming from Karen, who I consider to be probably the best UK-based Amazon suspension expert type thing, if she's saying that, then I'm confident Cindy's going to be all right. Obviously, touch wood and all that.
Yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Yeah, just keep hanging in there. I know it's stressful, and you know, Amazon do give you, you know, do give us some heart flutters every now and again. But providing, yeah, like I said, again, for anyone who's watching tonight as well, with Amazon, with suspensions and things like that, it's not everyday norm. But it does happen, so we don't make any bones about that whatsoever. But that's why we're part of this community, and why you can come here and you know, you can get advice, and you can use the software tools, and you can ask questions in the group, and you can watch things like this. So, you know, rest assured, it's definitely something that,
you know what, Nat. You know what, Nat. Obviously, you know that Karen runs Suspension Safeguard, which is offered as an upgrade for BuyBot Pro and free with onlinearbitragedeals.com. But she's looking to roll that service out. And I was asking her about how many sellers have been suspended or had some suspension event. So not suspended, but suspended or some suspension event type thing. So something that required some kind of action or assistance from their side. And I was actually shocked at how many there was. Like I always said, look, most people never get suspended, and I truly do believe that, and that is the case. But it was shocking. I would say, based on my guesstimations and chats with Karen, I would say somewhere between 5 and 10% of sellers have at some point got suspended, which is bonkers. That's just out off the top of my head kind of thing, based on conversation.
Yeah. I do you know what? I think it could be slightly higher than that, actually, purely because you're taking into account suspension events. Everybody will get suspended at some point due to a deactivation, due to a verification, or something like that. So, you know, probably not taking those ones into account. But like literally, Amazon will go through a stage where if you don't put the right tax certificate when people are selling in Europe, they'll deactivate your account for that. And if you don't know what you're doing, that can be really, you know, that can be really awful. Having that message comes through on your phone. It comes through on your phone. We've had it in the past where we've had to go through a re-verification a few years ago or something like that. And literally your heart stops. It goes up through your mouth. And, you know, it's like one of the worst things that you ever think. But the most important thing is not to panic. That is the most important thing. You only get a certain amount of goes with Amazon before, you know, they stop replying to certain things. So I would 100% recommend. Cindy said it's yourself. She's so happy with this suspension insurance with BuyBot Pro. If you do not have BuyBot Pro and you do not have Amazon, suspension safeguard, then it is definitely something you 100% want to think about. Because
Cindy's just put, I've been on Amazon for 6 months and had to get help from Karen twice now. So she's used suspension safeguard twice in 6 months, you know, which is what it's there for. But
yeah, absolutely. So if you've got BuyBot Pro and you want to upgrade it, that's totally possible. You can do that, guys. Just get in touch with the team at info@buybotpro.com. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. Just get in touch with the team.
Mark, who's an 8-figure seller, said it's as large as me and larger get suspended. So
the bigger you are, the harder you fall, to be perfectly honest. And you've got more chance of being suspended the more that you sell, to be perfectly honest. So it's something that you really, really should consider about. And yeah, most of the time, it's just a case of writing. It's just a case of how something needs to be worded with Amazon. And it can be just one buzzword.
But yeah, the worst thing you can do is send a message to Amazon when you've been suspended or got some suspension event. The best thing you can do is talk to Karen. Honestly, don't message them, because I think the worst thing, there are times when it gets really hard to help is when you've already messaged, as a seller, you've already messaged Amazon about 3-4 times and Amazon have stopped listening to you. And then it's like impossible mission at that point to try and get reinstated. Whereas if you just go for help right away, then you're usually good to go. And there's, again, I can't remember the exact stats, so you'd have to ask Karen, but I think something like, I mean, it's the vast majority, like almost 100% of people that use suspension safeguard and have Karen's help get reinstated. Almost 100%. I think she said it was 100% of those that weren't like crazy, like people that are selling counterfeit craziness and know they're doing naughty. I think some of them struggle, but yeah, it's not a guarantee, but it is helpful to have somebody that deals with it day in, day out. Erkan says, I've just updated suspension safeguard. Well done, Erkan. It's invaluable when you need it. David says, hey, how's the cat, Matt? Do you know what he's referring to, Nat?
No.
So we had some fitted wardrobes. Last couple of days, we've been having fitted wardrobes in the bedroom. 3 years almost we've lived there, and we've not had wardrobes. Finally got these beautiful fitted wardrobes, and the guys that were coming to fit them, they'd open the skylight in the bedroom, and the cat had seen these new wardrobes. Our cat, Pebbles, the fish, climbing up these wardrobes and got out onto the roof. And when she got out onto the roof, and our roof's quite high, she started sliding down into the gutter, and she stopped in the gutter. And then she tried to get back up, and she just kept sliding down. So me and Holly, at first we were like running around with like blanket at the bottom, like on a cartoon, trying to catch her. Yeah, and go, come on, jump. She weren't having none of it. She was just like, meow. And then Holly's going up on a ladder. But as soon as she goes up on a ladder, or I went up a ladder first, then she goes to the other side of the bloody roof. So we have to go up there with a ladder. It was nuts. Well, that's what he's referring to. But yes, David, the fish is okay and safe and got
down in the end. I did see the comment about Holly being up a ladder, and I did wonder what that was about, but I was just cooking dinner and I was a bit like, what?
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, I went up at first, but the fish was having none of it. I can't stroke the fish. The fish don't really like me. So trying to grab a cat off the roof, cat was having none of it. So Ollie had to go up, but even Ollie was trying to like drag her off, and she wouldn't have none of it.
Literally the cat landed on her feet, definitely. Right, Shawn said this is a really good example, actually. Shawn got help straight away from Karen with his plan of action, and it's something that I know Shawn did a video about and everything like that as well, because when you have that person to contact straight away and have the right course of action to be able to put into your account, which Shawn done, because Shawn, without probably Karen and going to her, had a time limit in order to reply to Amazon and reply exactly what needed to be done. Without having suspension safeguard and being able to contact Karen, he probably would have ended up being suspended. And yes, he would have got the account back. There's no doubt about it. But how long could he have been out for? 2 weeks? 2 months? Don't know when it comes to Amazon.
Well, possibly forever as well. Who knows? But no, he did the right thing. I saw his video he made about Karen and Holly. Yes, like he was there. He was clearly emotional.
He mentioned me. He messaged me first, and I was like, message Karen, message Holly. And he was like, thanks, Karen. It is. I was like, oh well. I'm happy to give the credit, because I'll tell you what, I've been selling on Amazon now in different capacities over the last 6 years, and I wouldn't even attempt to touch a suspension on my own, because you have to be an expert in it. You have to be doing it day in, day out. And it's just an area that I'm not an expert in, and I wouldn't become an expert in, because I think you need to be that type of person to be able to do it. You need to be the type of the person that Karen is, in very process driven, very organized.
You should have Karen on to chat about suspensions. I'm talking about it, but I ain't got a clue really. All I can say is, look, like, they do a really good job. So
fantastic. And definitely 100% best in the business. But that's enough to talk about suspensions. There you go. I'll take you up on that, Shawn. It's going to buy me a drink at next live event. We need to do a live event.
We're going to do a live event. Don't worry. Live event coming. Online Arbitrage Summit 2.0 is coming. So for anybody that's new and doesn't know, we put a live in-person event on in Lincoln in the Doubletree Hilton type hotel thing. It was it? Maybe it is a Hilton. I don't know. But it was lovely. It was an amazing event. The community all came. We had loads of speakers. That was Natalie's first speaking event, and it was your first, wasn't it? Nat? Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it was epic. But we will 100% be doing an online arbitrage summit 2. Well, it might not be this year because there's no point messing around with all the nonsense happening at the minute. But it will almost certainly be next year.
Definitely 2022. I can't see it happening this year. I mean, I think you'll probably be able to do meetups and things like that. But I think, you know, we're going to do it. We want to go big. We want to do it properly. We want to, you know, like we did last time, and no messing around. Ray's like, when? This Saturday? Question mark. There we go. We just had the first offer of a speaker. Mark Penn, sign me up. There you go. Boom, book.
Oh, is he saying speaker? Is that? Oh no, he's not. He's on about.
Oh, sorry.
Being £1.
Don't worry. I will persuade him.
Mark could come and speak. He'd be a great speaker.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone needs to listen to Mark at some point in their life for sure.
Yeah.
Right. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to get you on tonight as well, Matt, is to talk about outsourcing. I posted about it earlier in the group. I was actually really surprised, not surprised with the response, but it's just one of those subjects that people, you know, are really interested in. If they're not doing it now, they want to know how to do it. If they are doing it, are they doing it the right way? What do I outsource? What don't I outsource? All of these different types of areas. And I thought you're the perfect person to discuss this with, because in lots of different capacities within your business and what you run, that you've outsourced a lot over the years. In various different capacities, from, you know, selling physical products, selling digital products, providing services, all of these different kind of elements. So I wanted to do a bit of a dive into that and talk a little bit more about, from your perspective, when's a good time to outsource, when isn't a good time to outsource, because I know you do things a lot differently now from when you first started. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So I first learned about outsourcing. I don't know what year it was, but maybe 2005. So maybe 15 years ago, from a guy called John Jonas, and he was bringing the idea of Filipino virtual assistants to the world. Now everybody thinks Filipinos, but they didn't back then. But yeah, I learned it from him maybe 2005, and by about 2007, I think it was, I had a full-time 8-person Filipino team. So 8 full-timers working for me based in the Philippines. And we've done a lot of outsourcing since, and not just in the Philippines. I wouldn't call them we would call them outsourcers, but some of these people we really consider our team. So strictly it is outsourcing, but really we see them as like staff. We just see them just the same. But Philippines, Serbia, Africa, Turkey, Ukraine. We do all kinds of stuff like that all over the place. But yeah, what people might forget is, and I'm gonna take the credit for this because nobody else will give it me. But if you remember, Nat, my first ever launch was Advanced Arbitrage. And it was my first ever course launch within this space of the Secret Wealth Project. And it was a course that taught hiring, managing, and training and all that stuff, Filipino VAs for the online arbitrage market. And then once I'd done it, everybody started doing it, and it all became like everybody was at it, and it was a thing. But before that, nobody had Filipino VAs. Nobody talked about it. Maybe there was in America, I don't know. But over here, there was nobody using them. And I put that little training course together, which included training that you would give to your VA to train them up in OA. And that was the first thing I ever did in this kind of market. I think that might be my first paid offering I made.
I think it was. I remember that. And I remember thinking at the time, because I'm certainly not an expert in outsourcing. I'm a martyr when it comes to doing stuff. Yeah, I'm like, no, I won't outsource that. I'll do it myself. But I'm learning over the years. And I remember buying that course, first of all, thinking, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to, be able to outsource this part of the business. But unfortunately for me, it was the part that I really enjoyed, which was the sourcing, and the part of which I really hung on to for too long. So I went through and I did it, and I know that that would have changed some people's whole businesses definitely when you did that. And then of course we had Karen with providing the VA service as well, which was one of the next things that came out, which is not something that Karen currently does, but of course one of the first services like that to be launched through the Secret Wealth Project. And again, I would put Karen definitely within that position of being a master outsourcer as well. Able to outsource businesses to the nth degree.
Karen is better than me at outsourcing now, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that what I wanted to talk about tonight, obviously, we're specifically talking about Amazon here, but I think sometimes people forget that there's everything, you know, so many areas within your business. It doesn't necessarily have to be sourcing. So, you know, when it comes to looking at that outsourcing model and what step that you want to take in your business, you don't necessarily have to outsource something that one you enjoy to start with, or you know, you need to really look at something that is taking up the most the most amount of time. Now, when it comes to outsourcing on Amazon, the two areas that most people look at to outsource first of all is either prep or sourcing. So those are the two things that most people look, I would say, to start with
first. Yeah.
Definitely. But they're both very different things. Sometimes people do both of them at once and they can realize that it can be a very expensive lesson to be able to do that. Because what I wanted to talk tonight about as well is managing people's expectations when it comes to outsourcing as well, because it all sounds great. Well, I can sit on a beach, I can outsource this, and I don't have to do anything. And that's so wrong for you know, quite a few reasons. One, if you sit on a beach and you don't do anything for an indefinite period of time and you've fully 100% outsourced your business, it probably only ever means that your business will ever stay at one level, or worst case scenario, decrease. You have to do a certain level of active work in order to, you know, maintain and certainly grow a business. So what you need to do is, when you're thinking about outsourcing, maybe I'm wrong, I know that you've outsourced things 100% and it's proved a passive income for you. But when you're thinking about this, when you come to think about outsourcing a business, when do you think that you start looking to outsource? I know now, I'm going to ask you from a two-point of view. I'm going to ask Matt Webley 15 years ago and Matt Webley today.
Matt Webley 15 years ago had a very different mindset to Matt Webley today. So 15 years ago, I was essentially, at least mentally, a one-man band. And I would do everything myself. I would try and not spend money on software, not spend money on courses, not spend money on outsourcing. 15 years ago, it was all me. Now, don't get me wrong. I had hired the occasional person. So like I've had a bunch of writers in the early 2000s, but they weren't like outsourcing and you geographically leveraging kind of the cost differential. They were just like either US or UK based. And I suppose what defines outsourcing? That's a question back for you, Nat. What's outsourcing to you? Is hiring an accountant, is getting an accountant to do your books, is that outsourcing? Is getting a Filipino on a few grand a year outsourcing? Or what is outsourcing?
I would actually say that anything that requires a level of experience that you do not have, I think that is not considered to be outsourcing your task, because I'm not an accountant. So how can I outsource that? Because I see outsourcing as something I can do, but I am outsourcing it to someone else. So that frees me up to do something else.
Okay, that's interesting, because I'm not sure everybody would define it that way. So you see it as tasks that you're doing, getting somebody else to do them.
Yeah, let us know in the comments, guys. Let us know what you define outsourcing as. So
see, I don't consider us to be outsourcers. We're not outsourcers. We don't outsource. We use subcontractors. We use people in different countries, and in the strictest terms that you're talking about, maybe you would consider us to be outsourcers, but I don't see that. I see it as we build teams. Most of our core team are in the UK, but we've got people all over the world, and I just see it as, I suppose I'm struggling to understand the definition of outsourcing, because I can't outsource what I'm good at. I've not managed to find anybody as good as me at what I do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Is that the point you're trying to make?
This is a point I'm trying to make as well, because I remember being on like a training event a few years ago, and one of the subjects that someone was talking about was outsource your life, outsource everything, outsource absolutely everything, free yourself up so you can be free as a bird to do this and do that. And I remember asking that at the time, I was like, well, there's certain parts of my business that I like, for one. And he was like, no, outsource it. I was thinking, well, I didn't agree with that, because I thought, well, what's the point if you can't do things that you enjoy? But then secondly, and it's exactly the point that you've just made, that no one will ever care as much about your business as you do, no matter how well you train them, no matter how well you trust them, no matter how good they are. They will just not put in the same level of work, I was going to say, but that might be unfair. They will not have the same level of passion potentially as you in your business. So how can they do that job as well as you?
Yeah, I don't know. It's I've gained so much experience over the last few years now of team building and staff and all that stuff. So my opinion on it all has changed significantly. But would you consider getting a gardener to mow your lawn outsourcing? Because you could do it yourself, but you don't. Is that outsourcing?
That would be outsourcing for me, but then it's a double outsource, because I outsource it to Matt and then Matt outsources it to someone else.
Well, in that sense, I definitely outsource lots. We've got we outsource the cleaning. We've got a cleaner. We've got a gardener. We've got a window cleaner. So we don't wash our own cars. If that's outsourcing, then we're doing it all the time.
Yeah, and I think it is. It's definitely those things. It's the areas like, perfect example. We have a cleaner as well, and oh god, hopefully she's not watching them. I'm pretty sure she isn't. Oh no, I can't say it just in case. But what I would say is there are a certain level of clean that I would do when I'm going on like a massive cleaning binge. Nobody can clean my house as well as I can clean my house.
100%. Holly cleans the house way better. We've not found anybody that can clean it as well as she can.
Yeah, because you don't care. They don't care as much as you.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's work ethic. Maybe it's, I don't know, they're not getting paid enough to care. I don't know what it is.
I don't think it's worth it, work ethic, because I would think if I was to go into a cleaner's house, I reckon their house would be, spotless. I just don't think it's something that someone will not put in the same level of effort, or they're just not going to be as passionate or pay the level of attention to detail, which I think you would. But I'm completely with you on this as well. There are certain things within your business that no one is going to be able to do as well to you. And you either have to you either have to accept that. And if you are going to outsource it, you have to accept that they are not going to do it as well as you. And therefore, you have to manage your expectations and not get frustrated from that point of view. I really struggled with outsourcing my sourcing to VAs until I took on the realization that they are not going to be as good as me at doing it. Certain people have certain good, skills and things like this and skills like that. Or the other thing is, if you are going to outsource it, manage that expectations that it's not going to be as good as you. Or if you're not going to outsource it, then you need to accept that you got to do it yourself. If you want it done to that standard, you have to do it yourself. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I think I've got. I mean, you'd need to know the right questions to ask me to get the gold value out. But one of the nuggets I think is quite a recent realization for us is we've been trying to hire A team players. So we've been talking about building our A team. And for one member of staff, we went through 400 CVs last year for one member of staff. And then that person ended up leaving us 6 months into the job, even though we'd searched high and low for them, and we never really got the what we could have value-wise out of them. Like, they never quite got there. So trying to find a team is almost impossible. Like, trying to find people as good as you at what you know you're good at is almost impossible. And then there's always the question, well, if they're as good as you, why aren't they doing it for themselves, kind of thing. And what realization we've come to quite recently actually is the way to scale a business is not to find people as good as you. Because they're very hard, they're almost impossible to find, and you won't find out if they're as good as you from an interview. So you've got to try them out first. So there's so many things that could go wrong and get in the way of recruiting an A-team player. The true key to scale and the real secret nugget, and if you want a gold nugget from this conversation, at least from me, is this: create systems and processes that are that good, and training that's that good that you can just plug a human being into it. And the human being will follow that process and that system well enough that you get the end result you want anyway. So finding that A-team player that just gets it and can do it right off the bat without you even having to really like give them that much training or anything, that's almost impossible. Finding people with loads of experience that are ready to move and jump into your job or take you on as a client or whatever, almost impossible. But can you create a training document or bunch of videos that just is like a factory of human beings and plug good human beings in? So you can find, maybe you can find C and B team players, dead easy. It's just A team players. People, and I'm going to sound big-headed, but people like me, it's not easy to find somebody as good as me. Like what you're alluding to, Nat, finding people as good as you is real difficult. And if you can find them, it's usually better to partner with them. But plug them into a system. Plug a human into a system and you get the results. So I think that, I know that our focus is going to shift from trying to find the perfect person to almost creating them. And you won't create the perfect person, but if they can follow your process and systems and they're good enough, then you should get good results. And that the difference is one's not scalable. That recruiting 18 players, hard to find, might be 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000. To what you're going to go through a lot of people to find that one. And then what if they leave? Or what if you go for number 2? So that mindset shift that we've made recently of just we'll only accept 18 players. They've got to be the best, got to be the best. That mindset shift has happened recently. And now we're going to go, right, okay, let's create processes that do that. But yeah, there you go.
So what you would say now then, based on that revelation and what you guys have made within your business, so presumably moving forward, your whole recruitment process, interview process is going to change. Now you're looking for more personality and character traits as opposed to skills,
possibly.
Or experience. Sorry,
this is right up to, this is bang up to date current thinking. So we've not created these processes yet, but what we have done is spent the last year or two frustratingly banging your head against Indeed.com or these other job sites, Monster and all that. And last year it was very easy. You would put a job advert up and you'd get literally hundreds of applicants. So cherry picking the best out of them was all right. But now you put a job ad up and and then pay for it. Not even a free job ad. You put a paid job ad up and you get a fraction of the applicants that you did last year, because obviously things have gone crazy last year. So if you've got a much smaller pool of people and you were struggling to find 18 players from the big pool of people, what can you do other than find people that just seem to have the right characteristics and the right attitude and all that stuff. So yeah, I think that is the shift that we're kind of making. We're not going to find people as good as us all over the place. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be people, we're going to come across them, but we're not going to be able to scale a business like that. But if we can create those processes that will become kind of internal IP, and then we just plug humans into it, and then them humans become superstars, and then we create superstars instead of find superstars. That's the current. We'll see how it pans out, I guess.
Absolutely. And Mark said his biggest problem is recruiting enough great people. You have to get good people on board. Then you educate and nurture them. System and process is key. So I think absolutely. And, you know, I think back over the year, I've recruited hundreds of people, you know, over my business life. One of my last jobs before I became full-time self-employed was working in recruitment. So, you know, if I take that into account as well, I think good people, I always have gut instinct for people where I think, okay, I think they might not necessarily have the experience. And again, this comes down to outsourcing that not a lot of people take into account. You can't just hire someone unless you have the processes in place, the training and support in place to be able to do it, and just expect them to get on with it. If you hire a VA to do sourcing, you have to train them as well. There is no doubt about it. You have to give them the feedback on what works for you and what doesn't work for you. You have to give them support. You have to give them encouragement. I think sometimes people think from an outsourcing point of view, like a VA point of view, that you just hire someone and they're going to bring you 10-star deals from a sourcing point of view from day one. It's not going to happen. That might not happen for 3 months within their business until they get to know how you work. I mean, how do they know from day one what I want to sell, when I want to sell it? You know, these are all the things that you input that you need to put into this business. So what I would say for anybody who is looking to, you know, take that step and outsource their business is probably sourcing, unless you don't enjoy it and you're not very good at it and you know, put yourself, you know, banging your head against a brick wall or something like that. Probably for me, and this is my own personal opinion, so it'd be good to hear people's comments, is first step for me in outsourcing will probably always be prep, because it's rubbish and it's awful and it's like, oh God, yeah, it's just horrendous. No one likes prep. I do see people with comments and things. They're like, oh, I enjoy prep. So I think, no, you don't. No one enjoys prep. I don't mind you're putting 30 fake tans in a bag, but that's it. I don't want to do it anymore after that. At the end,
I think prepping is soul destroying from a point of view. When I was doing it, and I've done loads of prepping in my time, I'm like, it stops feeling like a business, and that's the worst bit about doing your own prepping, because I'm like, right, okay, so I'm sat here peeling this sticker off this thing, and then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to peel this sticker off this thing, and then I'm going to do it again. But that time, I'm like, hang on, I could be working a crappy job, and probably earn the same money doing this. So unless you can get somebody else to do your prepping for you, I don't get why anyone would do their own prepping. I don't get it. I understand why people do, to maximize the margins. If they've not got much cash, do your own prepping. If you do your own prepping, if you're low on cash, do your own prepping. Mm-hmm. But these people that have got the cash to spend, but they don't want to share any of the spoils of war, I don't get it. Even if it's just hiring your next door neighbor's kid to do it, you need to get somebody doing it.
Yeah, you don't have to use a prep center. You can go into a storage unit. You can have someone come in. David and Richard, they have, you know, instead of using a prep center, they have someone that comes and preps their goods for them. So they've outsourced. So also as well, don't think you have to do things the same as everyone else. Shawn, perfect example on the post today, was talking about his journey and how he's done his Amazon business. When it comes to doing things differently, I don't think anyone does it more differently than Shawn does. He's done it differently. And that's the thing. You don't have to use a prep center. You don't have to have a VA.
Shawn don't prep himself, does he? He drops the stuff off, doesn't he, with locals?
Yeah, which I think is really unique. I've never heard anyone does that. You know, Shawn does a lot of click and collect and a lot of RA. So it's probably quite impossible for him to use a physical prep center unless he lived near one. So he came up with this really great suggestion about hiring people in his local area who weren't necessarily looking for a full-time job, who didn't really have career aspirations. They just wanted to be able to earn a little bit of extra money. And what he does is on his trips, when he's picking, hopefully Shawn won't mind me saying this, so I don't think he will.
He's shared it loads of times anyway.
Yeah. So hopefully he won't say. So when he's out and about doing his trips, then what he does a round robin, and he just drops the goods off, and then he comes back and picks them up. Or I don't know if they send them direct. I'm not 100% sure on the end process, but how cool is that? It's something completely different, and it suits his business.
Yeah, Shawn is that guy, and I've probably said this once or twice before. And I don't want to make you blush, Shawn, but Shawn's that guy that I get the impression, like me, he's been underestimated his entire life. And I think Shawn is an absolute superstar for what he's done on his journey so far and where he's going next. And it's so clear trajectory for me where I can see Shawn going, which is great. So yeah,
definitely. Mark says he has a warehouse manager these days, a key player in the business. Absolutely. I made a YouTube video a couple of weeks ago about common behaviors of 7- and 8-figure sellers, and definitely operations manager, warehouse manager was one of those for sure. When people get to a certain point in their business, it's something that they have to step away from. They can't be in that part of their business when their business gets to the certain level, for sure. But everyone has to do things differently. David said, never found a decent house cleaner for a rental property. Shockingly bad. Again, that's something I see in groups, because Amazon and property people tend to overlap a little bit, to be perfectly honest. And how hard can that be? I mean, it sounds like if you can set up a decent cleaning business,
I could show you a video of me now, but it's got too much swearing on it, so I won't share it. I could show you a video of me, not this property, not the last property I bought, but the one before that, earlier this year, where I was on my hands and knees, me scrubbing after having paid a company 180 quid to clean a flat for me. I paid them 180 quid, and after that, I still had to clean it myself. And I'm on my hands and knees, and I'm making a video to send to Holly, like I'm scrubbing away. I'm like, they're in this and swearing my head off whilst I'm filming this video. But yeah, it's crazy.
Shocking, I think. Yeah, and I think that's the thing as well. Pay comes into it. Now, this is an interesting debate to bring into this.
Yeah, it is an interesting debate. I know where this is going to go, and I've got very strong thoughts on it. So go on, share it, Nat. Go on.
Classic age-old saying, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Is that true? And just because you pay more, so it's double point, just because you pay more, it means you get a better quality person. True or false to both?
I believe there's a false perception out there that price that you have to pay somebody is directly proportional to how good they are. And that is the biggest load of codswallop I've ever known in my life. You could find somebody and pay them 25 grand a year that is better than the person you'll pay 75 grand a year for. But I think what happens is people start to know their worth. So if somebody tried to hire me, having made millions of pounds on my own, in my own businesses over the years, somebody tries to hire me on 25 grand a year, I ain't going to do it. So like, if you try to hire me, you can't get me for that money. But like, let's say I go, right, I'll work for you, but I'm £5 million a year. Does that mean I can add £5 million worth of value to your business? Probably not. It depends on the business, but probably not. So like, I don't know. I think it's a false assumption to think that if somebody's going to cost you 100 grand, they're going to be 10 times better than somebody that's going to cost you 20 grand. It's just not true. It's just not true. In my opinion, what do you think, Nat?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it comes down to a number of things: work ethic, attitude, general outlook on life as well. How ambitious someone is. Because I tell you what, again, you know, through hiring hundreds of people over the last 20 odd years in my working and self-employed working life, there are a really good amount of people that just want to earn an honest wage, and have a safe place to work, not work for an absolute arsehole, and just shut the doors on what they do at the end of the day and go home to their family. Not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Most people shouldn't be an entrepreneur. Most people shouldn't be. They're not cut out for it. And that's the truth that nobody says, but they're just not cut out for it. You know, and that don't make you a bad person. You just got to know who you are. But absolutely.
And again, it comes down to knowing who you are and your self-worth at the end of the day, and what makes you happy, I think, as well. Some of the happiest people I know, you know, don't earn the largest amount of money. And that's the 100% truth. And some of the, you know, some of the most successful people in the world, look at celebrities, the rich and famous, you know, they have everything, perceived everything, and they're not happy.
Here's another truth for you. Money does not buy happiness, no matter what people think it does. And I've had many an argument with people that have told me money does buy happiness. Trust me, I've been very, very poor, and I've been what other people would consider rich. And I'm telling you right now, you ain't any happier when you make more money. I tell you what people don't understand is there's a certain level, and it might be Jordan Peterson that shared this on some video I watched. But up to a certain level, and it might be 50 grand a year, you will feel problems be solved. So you're not worrying about paying your rent or paying for your car or paying for food at like 50 grand. And then after that, honestly, it makes no difference in your happiness. Now you might go, oh yeah, well, I could buy a Ferrari, I'll be happier then. No, you won't. I owned a Ferrari. I was no happier post-Ferrari to pre-Ferrari. In fact, I was probably happier after getting rid of it. You know, and that's the truth of it. Money does not buy happiness. If you're only doing this for money, or you think that there's some kind of eventual goal that you're going to be happy once you get to this level, you won't. If you're miserable now, you'll just be rich and miserable then. And that's the truth.
And you know what? I actually think it would contribute more to your unhappiness if you are not happy in yourself as a person, but just with more money, because at the end of the day, there's only so much you can buy. And then once you stop buying that, it becomes very empty. You know, I referred to it on a post earlier. If you are someone that is filling a bucket, you know, a leaky bucket with water, you can't do that at the end of the day. You have to be able to, you know, be confident in yourself, know your self-worth, and be happy in that. Definitely, 100%. And everyone measures success differently as well. You know, some people will look at the happiest person in the world, you know, if they got a happy marriage and healthy children and all this type of things, which is how we should judge it.
But probably. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I've probably spent a good portion of my adult life pursuing acquiring more wealth or acquiring money or creating cash flow, and I still do that to today. It's not my sole aim, it's not my main aim, but it's definitely one of the byproducts of what I do. I enjoy entrepreneurship, I enjoy business, I enjoy building businesses and building teams and working with people. I enjoy it all. The byproduct is if you do well, you make good money. So I'm not trying to say that you should not try and strive for anything, but I am saying that if you think that making money is going to be the solution to all your problems, it's just not.
No, absolutely. Sorry, I was laughing. There's some really funny comments that I just want to read out. Mark says crying into his Ferrari is better on the bus, better than on the bus.
Which is true. I would never want to go back to being poor. Never, ever. I can't think of nothing worse. I would much rather be rich than poor. For sure. And I think pursuing wealth or pursuing security for you and your family and your close ones, I don't think it's a bad thing. You know what? You got to do something while you're here. And what you're going to do? Watch Netflix and play PlayStation? For a portion of your time, you probably are. But what about the rest of it?
Boring. It's just boring after that.
It's boring after a while, doesn't it?
I've got to read out my husband's comment because I think this is the most profound thing I have ever heard Matt Cromie said. He says, money means that you can arrive at your problems in style.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And he's also accused me of slave labor as well by saying that I pay him in peanuts.
Yeah, nice.
Mark Penn's offering his services for £10 an hour. Be careful what you wish for. Chippo says, I have a really smart teenager doing my invoices, spreadsheets, etc. He's 10 times faster than me. That's the other thing. The younger they are, the quicker they can do stuff, for sure. He's brilliant, not paying him peanuts. But if he was older, you'd have to pay him much more. That's a really good suggestion as well. Have a look around at your inner circle as well. Again, double-sided argument. 50% probably agree, 50% probably wouldn't. But this is certainly from our own experience. Our first hires that we always look at are definitely within our immediate circle. Either people immediately around us, or a friend of a friend, or someone who knows someone, or Bob who knows Susan, or something like that. And I appreciate that that's not everybody's cup of tea, because not everybody wants people in their immediate circle to know what they're doing, or
so you're saying it's a positive thing. You do that on purpose, and you've had good experience.
100%. Trust is a very big thing for me, because a lot of the time, whilst we have the warehouse and everything like that, there's a good chance at some point I'm going to have to invite that person into my home at some point, and or they might be exposed to my children or something like that. So for me, trust will probably be top of the list in terms of hires, physical hires, of course, but not, potentially if someone that's never going to come into my home, then I don't have to know them from that point of view, but only if they're like an immediate hire. Whereas some people don't like that, because they don't want to potentially have to sack someone that's their cousin or something like that. So I get that side of it as well. But I do think trust is, more important. But I will say to people, don't make things permanent at the start. Just sort of like say, make it very casual. You've got a few hours. Would you be interested in trying it out? Make it clear if it's for you. And if you are hiring someone to do prep, this is what I always say to every single person. Matt's like, you shouldn't say that. And I say, well, I'm trying to manage their expectations. I literally say to people, anyone that's going to consider doing prep at any point, I will say, right, it's the most boring job in the world, but it's like being in a time machine, because the day goes really quickly. And that's so true.
Yeah. It didn't when I was doing it. It was the worst thing on earth. I never want to do it again.
I'm not allowed to prep. I'm literally not allowed to go anywhere near. I haven't prepped anything for, years, because I always do it wrong anyway as well. So I'm definitely not allowed to go anywhere near prep. Doug says, bored retired mother-in-laws are great for prep. Absolutely. I know a few people use their mum. Hayden, bless her, always used to put his mum in his YouTube videos and things like that, getting his mum to do his prep. Kay says, health is worth far more than money. Absolutely. I don't think you'll get many arguments on that front. Erkan says PlayStation makes him happy.
It does me, honestly. Erkan, PlayStation has got me through the last year. I don't know what I would have done without it.
Yeah, I think you should set up a Secret Wealth Project tournament or something. Whatever you guys do on your PlayStations. I don't know, whatever you do. We've missed a few comments tonight, so sorry about that. I don't want to go back too far. But, I think on the outsourcing side of things, because one thing we haven't talked about, which is, you actually outsource, you set up this amazing Facebook group, changed a lot of people's lives, which not a lot of people do give you credit for. I know I say that all the time, so make sure I say it every single time, is you set this up. Many people, hundreds of people starting business, probably even going into the thousands, I would say, now have started business because of this Facebook group. But as a true entrepreneur, you are not an Amazon seller yourself, and you knew that you wanted to keep this community going. So what did you do? You outsourced it to someone else.
Who's that? Who's that? Yeah. I don't know if there's a question in there that you want me to answer.
There wasn't a question in there, and I think it brings me back to probably what I was saying about your current position in your business now, because I don't think you asked the second part of my question, answered the second part of my question at the start, is going back, it was quite clear that at the start you would outsource everything. But now, would you start a business now knowing that you had to learn it and become an expert in it yourself? So I do think that's a different thing as well. I'm a firm believer in you have got to get to know, especially if it's brand new business, the business before you outsource it, in order to know if you're getting ripped off by anyone else that you outsource it to as well.
Yeah.
But would you start a business now today that you had to learn inside out for yourself and you couldn't possibly think about outsourcing from day one?
Honest answer, no. I won't go into a business that I can't see an exit for me eventually. Like, I'm no interest. Like because
maybe not. You can outsource it in the future, but maybe like a year. You'd have to get to know it inside out, and you couldn't outsource it.
Sorry, I don't mean to be a dummy. I don't know what. Ask me in different words or something now.
Okay, so say for instance, a new form of internet marketing came into play, something you know that you are an expert in, but this particular area was like brand new. No one had ever done it before. You knew that you would do well at it, but you would have to put in you would have to put in 100% commitment of your time. You couldn't outsource it to anyone else. So you'd have to learn it inside out before you could outsource it to someone else.
Again, I'm not sure what the question is, but I wouldn't do something that required 100% of me unless I was passionate about it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that answers the question, because I still don't know.
You've answered it anyway, which is I get the very stark impression that you wouldn't do something now unless you could outsource it.
But our definitions of outsourcing are different. So I wouldn't start a business that requires me anymore. I wouldn't ever start a business that requires me.
Okay.
So they're not by choice. I might fall into one, but I wouldn't by choice. So I don't know what kind of example that would be. But
I think I probably know what you're trying to say, or what I'm trying to ask and what you're trying to say is that not all outsourcing is a VA in the Philippines. So this is generally what we're talking about tonight. Whereas you could start a business with someone from a joint venture point of view, where they would do the physical side of things, maybe, and you offer your experience.
I love that. I love.
Yeah, because not all outsourcing is VAs, is it? You know,
I love the idea of partnering with people. So they might be the expert at providing that product or service, even if they don't end up doing it and we build a team around them and they don't actually do the work, somebody else does. But they're an expert at providing the product or service, and I can be the expert at helping them market it and sell it. I love that. That's for me, that's the dream come true. So I do love that. I don't want to know all that much about the inner workings of something. If I can't get somebody else to know that stuff, it's probably the wrong business for me at this stage in my life. I think when you're starting out, you've got to know everything. You've got to know what you're doing. You've got to do a lot of it yourself. You know, you've got to be there. But I'm not at that stage of my life. So and I can't think of an example other than being Beyonce. I can't think of an example now of something that would just be me. So I'm not sure what business. I don't see that as a business person. So, like, you know, these one-man bands, they might be an aerial fitter. You know, they put an advert in the local paper or whatever, and then they go and they take the calls, they go see the customers, they fit the aerials, and then they take the cash, and then they go do another. That's not a business. I know strictly it's a business, but to me, that's not a business. You're self-employed. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's the same thing, but I don't see it the same way. Mm-hmm. Like, that you're self-employed, you've got a job, you're just earning profits instead of earning a wage working for somebody else, but you got a job when you're doing that. I don't look at those kind of opportunities. I'm not interested in them.
Yeah, and do you know what? Outsourcing can sometimes be bad. I literally have the perfect example for this. We've used the same electrician for years, really, really happy. But during the last 12 months, during the COVID pandemic, if any of you guys have tried to get a tradesperson into your house at the moment, it's like ridiculous. You can't get them for love nor money. So our electrician, we've had some work that we needed to do lately, but in the last 12 months, his business has massively grown. He's taken on a couple of apprentices, and he come and done the job for us. And he is brilliant, this guy. Honest, tidy, good price, you know, everything that you would want in electrician. Come and done, and again, I can say it because I know he's not part of this group or we're ever going to watch this, but he come and done a job for us. And because he's stretched so thin, he wasn't here, left his apprentices here. Oh my goodness. If we didn't know the guy and we knew that we couldn't speak to him and say, look, what's going on here? This is messy. They've scratched my floor. I've got wires hanging out. What's going on? We turned a light switch on and it turned like the oven on or something crazy like that. So what we were saying was like, these guys are representing your business. And had we have been a first-time client, we wouldn't have had him back because he's now, instead of capping a point in his business, like you said, like an aerial fitter or something like that, he's seen that part and think, right, okay, great, I can grow my business and do this. But actually, he's his business. So he's only ever going to either accept the fact that they're not going to be as good as him, or he can only earn to a certain level because he can only do so much at the end of the day.
The problem with that guy is he's an electrician, not a businessman.
Yeah.
What he should be, he could easily scale that, but he needs to become a marketer. So he needs to become a marketer. He needs to be marketer, sales, and kind of overview of the process. So he needs to drop on those jobs. First, he needs to get rid of one of his apprentices and just have one apprentice and have him second him and go do the job. Start small, follow him around. This is how you do that. No, don't do it like that. Do it this. After a year or two, when he's as good as he can get and he knows he does it his way, that's when it's time for probably apprentice 2. And then send apprentice 1 out that's had a couple of years training. Now let him do the smaller jobs that he can do with his eyes shut, and then follow up on it. Just pop by and see if little old Gertie's all right with the work that's been done. Yeah, it's been done lovely. So then it becomes a trust but verify on the first one, and then the second one's seconded to you. Now at some point you won't have to keep them 2 years. You drop them on to second your first apprentice, and now you've got a little team. And I think I can see this jigsaw so easily for that, but you need to be a marketer. And I've seen people do this well in the electrician game. The electricians that we use, they have one guy that kind of is the business manager type thing, the owners or whatever. And then they have a load of young lads straight out of college that are electricians that can do the job. But they've got the in-house experience, but they're mostly marketers. But yeah.
Absolutely, but I think that's the point, and not everyone can be an entrepreneur, and that's the difference between being self-employed and like being an entrepreneur for sure. John says that's the problem with franchise. Poor quality people drag down the reputation. I'm just launching a blinds course. All the benefits of a franchise, but each one working independent brilliantly.
Yeah, I think that's why franchises can sometimes work, because you get the business owner. You get them tied into an agreement, so it's like they work for you, but they're working for themselves. So they're going to give it the time and dedication and love that it needs to make it work. I think franchising for the franchisor is very, very good proposition potentially.
For sure. Daniel says that's what I do. To be fair, there are people far better at what I do, so why waste my time with it? I know where my skills are, and I know how to identify people who have what I don't. I used to bash my head against this stuff, but letting go to the right people is liberating. Absolutely. I think whenever we find that person that we can trust, that we can let things go to, but at the same time managing that expectation, it can be like throwing the shackles off and just having that real kind of aha moment. And the extra thing that I wanted to add in before we finish up, so I've got an announcement to make tonight as well, is you really need to think about, from an outsourcing point of view, guys, that when you want to go ahead and do it, think about what the consequences of outsourcing are. And I do use the word consequences, but not in a negative way, not how you would normally use the word consequences. because I think people underestimate what outsourcing can do to their business, as in it can make their business explode. And sometimes if you don't have the cash flow to keep up with it, then it can end up, it can end up putting you back and making you depressed within your business because you're frustrated and you're not seeing, you're not fulfilling what can actually happen. So do things gradually. You don't have to jump all in at once to start with. Get to know the business, learn the business first of all, then gradually outsource. Think about a prep center if that's what you do first of all. But do you know what? You don't have to send them all your prep from day one. Start off with the crap stuff. Just send them the bundles that you don't want to do yourself. Send them the oversized stuff. All of these different things. You don't have to think about doing it all from day one. If you want to take on a sourcing VA or something like that, you don't have to have one for 40 hours a week. Combine a sourcing VA with something like onlinearbitragedeals.com and hire a VA for 1 or 2 days a week or something like that. Just because someone says that you have to do something in a certain way, you don't have to do it. Look at your expenditure, your net profit, and really truly ask yourself, can you afford to outsource your business at this point? And the final tip that I'll say is just make sure you plan to outsource from day one. So we always say in BuyBook Pro, I say this to people that I speak to directly, allow from a prep fee from day one. Put it in BuyBook Pro.
Yeah, I would go, and I'm not saying put this in BuyBook Pro, but I would go further than that and say, expect to be VAT registered. Don't see this as a business that only works when you're not VAT registered. Yeah. Because if you can't make it work when it's when you're VAT registered, don't do it. Why are you even doing it? Do you know what I mean? That's the way I see it. A lot of people are like, I'm going to stay under the threshold. No, smash through the threshold and take it to the moon and back. If you can't make it work being VAT registered, don't bother starting.
Unless it's just a side hustle for you.
If it's a side hustle, yeah, of course. If you're making a bit of money to get a Merc on lease, or you want to go to Dubai on holiday a couple of times a year, or to Disney, then yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're taking this seriously and seeing it as a proper business that you can maybe go full time at, or you're going to outsource and do it, really hit it hard, then yeah, you need to be thinking of, right, I'm going to build a prep fee into what I'm doing. I'm going to build a VAT registration into what I'm doing. And if it still works, then I'm doing something right. And then enjoy the bit before VAT registration and maybe the self-prepping time. Enjoy the extra money from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing. You have to plan to outsource from day one, but you don't necessarily have to outsource from day one. Just plan to succeed.
When it comes to OA and RA, then a smart move is to maybe you outsource bits. Loads of people I know that have just never prepped a single item. They've used prep from the start. There's loads of people like that. But if it was me doing it, I would probably learn every step of the business myself. And then one by one, I would remove what I do and let somebody else do it and pay them for it. As you scale and as you've got the cash flow to support that. That's what I would do.
But that's the beauty of this business. There are so many different things to do different ways. And I think the whole main thing that I wanted to get out of this tonight is that you don't have to look at it in exactly the same way as everyone else. Just because you watch a YouTube video saying, do this, do that, do that. Don't write your own rules, guys, at the end of the day. No one's going to tell you, no one's going to give you a pat on the back and say we will tell you you're doing a great job, obviously. We will. Congratulations in things, but no one knows how well you're doing in your business apart from you. So at the end of the day, make your own rules up, and if it works for you, it works for you. So, but plan to outsource from day one. Create those SOPs from day one as well, because like Matt says, if you can plug someone into your business later on, you've already done the hard work. There's nothing more depressing than having to think about taking someone on, going through that process, training them, pouring all of your knowledge into someone. It's a big task to do it. Small steps. Do something every day. Write a new SOP once a week, once a month for your business. So when you are ready to make that step within your business, that you can take that step without stressing yourself out. That's the way I see it.
People just need to stop looking at business like it's a one-man band thing or a one-woman band thing. It's not. It shouldn't be. Like, you should have a long-term vision to build a team or build some kind of automation or delegation into it. It's not all about you. You got to be willing to share the spoils of war with somebody else. You know, that's the way I see it now. There's no I in team.
No, definitely not. Ray says selling on Amazon via the SWP group makes me happy. Absolutely, Ray. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, apparently. Christos Velas, evening, Christos. He says Dr. Pepper Zero makes him happy as well. Definitely. Chippo says, agree, see people tripping over outsourcing costs. Definitely. Get sourcing VAs, thinking going to translate to sales immediately. It doesn't always happen and ends up in cash flow problems. It does. Please do this, guys. Don't be, sucked into some kind of slick sales plan about you can do this and you can do that and you can outsource this your whole life. And, I only work 15 minutes every week. Yes, it may be true, but at the end of the day, you get out of your business what you put in. And when it comes to cash flow is king in business, and especially in this business, because I tell you what, your money can get taken up pretty quickly with stock. And if that stock's not moving out the other end, then before you know it, your bank account's looking pretty pitiful and there's not a lot left room, to grow. So do things gradually, test the water. If something doesn't work for you, don't be ashamed to rein it back in as well. I think that's the other thing. I've seen so many people leave this business because they're like, oh, okay, well, this didn't work for me and that didn't work for me. And I used a prep center and I didn't realize how expensive it's going to be. So therefore I'm going to quit. No, just pull it back in, adjust, tweak things, do things a bit differently. That's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah. I've got lots I could have ranted about tonight. I don't know. I don't mean what you're probably thinking. I mean, just with outsourcing and stuff.
I think it's a subject that we could talk about until midnight and then some. To be perfectly honest, I think it's something that Mark's just said: test and adjust. Absolutely, you don't have to do things the same way as everyone else. But do you know what? Sometimes brings me on to my announcement for this evening. Sometimes you just need a little bit of a sounding board. Sometimes you just need to be able to talk through a decision or something like that with someone who's in the same boat as you, or someone that's been through or the same storm as you, essentially. So I'm delighted to announce tonight that Chat with Nat is back.
Yay! I love the little rhyme. Chat with Nat is back.
Chat with Nat is back.
You sold yourself short there, Nat. Right, let me tell you what's going on here, folks. Natalie is one of the finest minds in the game when it comes to OA. She's changed this game in the last couple of years more than pretty much anybody else in this game, right? And we're not talking about vanilla OA like I covered back in the day. We're talking about grade A, up-to-date, cutting edge, real fine stuff. And that has really changed this game, right? And she's got a wealth of experience. And you know what? More so than that, the vast majority of people in this game don't actually love it. And they're just doing it because it's a means to an end, or they fell into it or whatever. Nat loves it. It pours out of every pore in her body. She's passionate about it. And Nat is now not only one of the most knowledgeable, experienced and smart minds in this game right now. Not only is she that, but she loves it and she loves helping people. And she's going to jump on those live calls. You're going to do Chat with Nats again. So you've not offered these for like a year, have you? Over a year now?
No, I think a year. I had to stop it when the kids,
Yeah, I think it was like way over a year.
Yeah.
So imagine, and again, they're free. We're not pitching anything.
Yeah, totally free.
It's a free call, but you get to jump on a call with Nat, who honestly is a real expert in this game. I don't know if she could refer to herself. I think you would now, Nat, but I won't make you. But Nat is a real expert.
I'm not saying I hate that.
I know, she don't like that, but Nat's a real expert in this game. And she's and basically these are free calls. How long are they going to be, Nat? I know. How many?
30 minutes.
Okay, so Nat's going to be doing 30-minute Chat with Nats, the free calls. Sounding board, you can chat to her, talk to her about the problems in your OA business, get some tips. Just like she says, just having a sounding board there is amazing. But, yeah, we're going to be putting them back together. So that's exciting, isn't it, Nat?
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? I'm one of those people that I thrive off of other people at the end of the day. I love talking about this business. I love looking at people's businesses and saying, not because, not like, oh, I know everything. But do you know what? Just talking to someone who's walked the same path as you, who's or done it for a little bit longer, you can look at it from an external point of view and say, right, have you tried this? Have you tried that? I'm definitely a creative solutions problems person. So if you come to me with a problem, I won't say, well, poor you kind of thing. I'll say, right, okay, have we done this? Have we done this? Right. If you've done that, what about if we try this or something like that? I love finding solutions.
How's it going to work? How's it going to work? Because obviously you're going to be rammed out. Like, how many are you doing a week? Is it like some limit on them or what?
What I'm going to do is there is going to be a limit to start with. Well, there is going to be not to start with. There is going to be, but I'm going to be doing more to start with, definitely for the first couple of months, because I'd imagine it's going to be more popular, at the start with more people. But there is only one of me. I am running my own business. I've got my kids. I've got to keep the old man happy as well. So, just want to manage people's expectations. I think I've allowed for something like, I think I've allowed for 20 calls a week to start with.
Wow.
If my math is right. No, I haven't. I've allowed for 16. Sorry. So I've allowed for 16 calls to start with. And then obviously as time goes by, I can, look at times and things like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So that's awesome. But you know what you like, Nat? If you don't have somebody else queued up, it's going to end up being 40 hours.
Exactly. And I do like to talk. So as those people that know me as well. So please, guys, what I do want to say to start with is because of my time commitments elsewhere, I have had to do these calls. So they are within a certain space of time. And, if it's going to get to the half an hour, it is only going to be half an hour because I've only got so much time. I would speak to people all day, every day.
I know you would. How many 10-minute calls have we had that 3.5 hours later we're still on them?
Exactly.
Exactly. Strictly half hour, but nobody can say fairer than that. There's no charge to it. You could charge for that, Nat. You could charge for that half an hour, but you're not doing
absolutely. But what I want to do is I just want to, just be that sounding board and, just talk to people and get to know people in the community as well. Since we stopped doing this, or since I stopped doing this over a year ago, we've had so many more sellers that have joined and started selling on Amazon. And yes, I talk to people all the time via private message. And a lot of the time, most of the guys that are watching tonight or people will know, I'll jump on a call with someone, and I'll sort of like say, right, instead of going back and forth, I'll say, right, are you free on Tuesday at 2:00? Let me give you a call and let's talk about it. I'll always try and do what I can. But of course, just the chance to get to know and meet people and find out about people's businesses as well. It's, it's a bit more intimate and getting to know people a little bit more. For sure.
So that's great news. That's awesome news, Nat.
Right, I'm going to pop the link in the, believe it or not, I set this all up myself.
It's ready to go. Okay. Yeah.
It's all done. So I'm going to pop the link in the comments for chat with Nat. And I hope I've done it right. I don't know. But appointments are not opening up until next week. So just to let everyone know. So I think the first one is like Monday to Thursday. And I think we can only book 30 days in advance. So as soon as we get past that, then I'll add some more dates. But I'm just going to pop that in the comments. So feel free to book a chat with, Nat, me.
I thought it was funny, Matt, your husband, Matt's put me in for a couple of hours.
I don't want to talk to him for that long. I'm only joking. I don't
see any link now. Have you posted it?
Yeah. Oh no, I've posted. You know what? It's gone on YouTube. Let me Let me post it. Why has that done that then?
YouTubers getting a head start.
Yeah.
Yes, one-to-one can, yeah.
Yeah, it has gone on. Right, let me just, Matt, you just quickly talk to them while I just put it in on Facebook quickly.
Okay, so yeah, don't miss out on this opportunity, but don't book one if you're not going to be there as well. Respect Nat's time, because it's unfair if if you book one and it's taking it off somebody else and it's using a valuable time and all that. But yeah, so go on.
Oh no, I was going to say Erkan's just asked, is it 1-to-1? Yes, completely 1-to-1.
Yeah, 1-to-1 private chat, you and that.
Yeah, private chat, and you can. This is how advanced I've become technology-wise. You can either book a phone call or a Zoom call. Got both options on there. Check me out.
Yeah,
did this all on my own as well. Well, actually, I won't cry about it too loud until I realise people can actually book something. So I've put it in there on Facebook. So feel free to and we can talk about whatever you want. I mean, obviously, I prefer it be Amazon, but if you guys want to talk to me about something else, then
nice. I might book one then as well. No, that's cool. Go book some time, but only book times you can literally turn up to, guys, because you got to respect Nat's time. But that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I look forward to it. And for me, I love talking about this business. I genuinely do, and it's something that if I can just offer that one bit of something that someone maybe not thought about from that point of view. Half an hour, I'm not going to be honest, it's not going to be anything that's going to change your life or anything like that, but sometimes just being able to talk about something, same boat with you.
Honestly, it will be life changing. They might have one question or two questions or something like that will be total simple beginner stuff to you, but it'll change their world. So trust me, the value what Nat don't know about this business now is not worth knowing. So it's a no-brainer to jump on and get a call booked. But yeah, is that it? We're done then, Nat? Is that it for one night?
Yeah, that's it. So Mark's put first 30 minutes chat with Nat. Nat's what is your thought on quantum physics? Well, it really does depend on the theorem of. No, I'm only joking. Yeah, no. So feel free. And by the way, something we said before actually was that limited to one person. Yes, it is limited to one person and one go. So if everyone can, but there's nothing in place to stop it. This is what I'm saying. So if everyone could just be respectful of everyone else and let everyone else have a good shot. This is something I intend on doing, for the future while I can. So. If you have a chat with me and then 6 months down the road, we have another chat. I don't mind that. But what I'm trying to say is I don't want the same person booking every week with me. Yeah,
of course. One per person, basically, isn't it? You don't get a second one next week or a third one the month after. No, it's like a one per person thing because everybody's got to respect your time. And yeah, that's fair enough. Ooh. It's not free. Huh?
Yeah, someone said they've booked, so it obviously works.
Well, you can have more than one. Like Simon's at Boom, I'm in. You're gonna have loads now. They're gonna go in a flash.
Yeah. So I'll keep updating. But now we've got the servers again. We'll make sure we post it in the group and we'll talk about it on never mind the buy books and things like that. So you guys, if you don't get in straight away, don't worry about it. It's something I intend on doing for the foreseeable. So rest assured, we will have a chat at some point.
Awesome.
Right, we done.
Yeah, we're done. Thanks for inviting me, Nat.
Thanks for coming, Matt.
That's all right.
No, we're with it tonight. Love our chats. I think it's, for someone with such extensive experience and definitely some huge gold nuggets shared tonight on the outsourcing side of things. So thank you everyone for watching. As ever, I will see you same time, same place next week. 7 o'clock. Any questions, post them in the group in the meantime. And yeah, sign up for a chat with Nat if you can. Look forward to speaking to you all.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.
Cheers, Nat. Bye. Bye.